We have set up MongoDB on our local machine and also did some queries from the Mongo shell. So it's time to set up the whole project, backend and frontend. So we are going to use express.js and Node.js for the backend, and we're going to use React for the frontend. So let's get started. So this is how we are building. So we are maintaining two folders. One is for UI, one is for API. So the whole API is built with Node.js and express.js, and the whole UI is built with React. And also we are going to use a tool called CreateReactApp to build the whole UI application. So let's get our hands dirty and get into implementation part. So now what we are doing here is we are going to create a folder called MERN stack example. Since we are building MERN stack, I'm just giving that name. So you can give any name. So once the folder is created, let's export this folder into VSCode. So I'm going to select that particular folder that I created. Now the folder is imported. So let's open the terminal. So as I said earlier, let's check the version. Which node are we using? If you do not have Node installed on your laptop, you can check the first episode of this. We have installed NVM and we have installed Node through NVM. So as I said earlier, so we need to create two folders, one for the UI and another for API. So those two folders are created, and let's get started with API first. Change the directory to API, cd into that API folder. So now we are in the API. So first thing that we need to do is we need to create a package.json with npm. So when you do npm init, it will ask you a bunch of questions. You just need to answer those questions and it will create package.json for us. So we have to give package name, version, and since we are still in development phase, I just gave 0.0.1. And the description, since we are building MERN stack, I just gave MERN stack example API. And the entry point is index.js. We are going to create index.js in a while. And test command, we do not have test yet. So let's give empty. Git repository, we don't have the Git repository set up yet. Let's leave that empty. Once that is done, you just say yes, and it is going to create package.json. Yep, it created package.json for us. And if you notice, all the answers that we gave right now, it will be added. So it is added in the package.json. So we have created index.js. Let's run some commands here. So I'm going to run console.log, and also I'm going to create one function, simple add function. So this is just an add function which takes two parameters, and it will just return the addition of those two parameters. Let's put a print statement and call this function with two parameters. Now we can directly run node with node command, node index.js. You can run it, or you can add a script to package.json so that You don't have to run every time node index.js. You can just do npm start. It will in turn run this node index.js for you. So I have just added a script. So if you notice, you can either run with node index.js or you can just run npm start. That npm start in turn runs that command node index.js from the scripts. So now we have created index.js and package.json for the Node.js. Now it's time for us to create UI application. So for the UI, what we need to do is we need to install CreateReactApp, which is a tool, globally. So once you install CreateReactApp globally, you can use this tool to create the whole React application for you. So I just installed that tool globally. Now we can just use CreateReactApp, and you just need to give that command. Copy that command, paste it here. Oh, if you paste it, I think it is running immediately. Let's not paste. Let's remove that my app. So instead of my app, we have to give UI. Since we are naming the whole front-end application as UI, we have to give UI as our project app. So let's run this. Now it is creating the tool is creating the whole React application for you. So it creates package.json, it creates initial component, it creates all the necessary things that you need to run the React application. So using this tool, you can create React application either in JavaScript or TypeScript. Right now, we are focusing on JavaScript. Yes, as you can see, it created node modules, public folder, source folder, package.json, readme, all those things it created for you. Now change the directory to UI. Now if you do npm start, it actually starts the React application on port 3000. You can either choose don't allow or okay. So if you notice, the whole by default CreateReactApp runs the React application on port 3000. That's cool. So we have set up the UI, and UI is running on 3000. And now it's time for us to set up express.js in the API. So since we are running React application in one shell, let's create another shell and change the CD into API. So the first thing that we need to do is, since we are using express.js as a framework for the backend, we need to install express.js first. Look at it. So copy that command, npm install express, paste it here. So it gets added to the dependencies object, and also it creates node modules folders, because since this is the first module that we have installed in the backend. Let's copy first 3 lines, go to the index.js, let's remove these 3 lines and paste it here. So what we are doing here is we are importing express, and we are assigning to the app variable, and also we are creating a constant variable port, and we are giving the port 3000 here. So since the whole express is on app variable, this is how we create routes in express.js. app.get / that's the home path, and this route will take request and response as an object. So we have to give a callback, and the callback function takes request and response as a parameters, and we need to send the response. You take the request and you need to send the response. So see, we are not doing anything with the request yet, and this is how you create a Express server with app.listen function, and that listen function will take the parameter port and a callback function as a second parameter. Since our UI application is running on port 3000, we need to give some other port, maybe 5000. Let's see. Okay, I think the port is in use. So let's change the port to 3080. Now let's run the application. Now our API is listening on port 3080. So our UI application is running on 3000, and our ExpressJS API is running on port 3080. Let's test it. Nope. Yep, it's working. So now we have set up both UI and backend, and this is just a setup, and we are going to do much more complicated scenarios and much more complicated subjects or topics in the future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.